Welcome to Health Coach for Women. Intentional living for more happiness and fulfillment in your everyday life with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. Join Marsha as she shares her own personal wellness journey, as well as stories from our guests that will enlighten and inspire you to move towards better health and happiness. Now, here's your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker.
The greatness of a man is not how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively. By Bob Marley. Thank you so much for joining me here today on another episode of Health Coach for Women. I told you guys I think I want to start out with using quotes simply because I love quotes, and it's always motivational and inspirational to others, as well as myself. So today I want to talk to you about a topic, and this topic is very important. So what happens when we continuously live in survival mode? That's the question I'm asking today. When we live in survival mode, we don't even realize on the things that we are missing out on. We don't even realize the impact it can have on our overall health and well-being, in addition to those around us. So what happens when we continuously live in a state of survival mode, right? First thing is we create urgency. We create this sense of urgency, trying to meet these deadlines, trying to get everything completed and done in a quickly manner. Everything is rushed, right? Sometimes with no fully, carefully planned thought process. We try to meet these deadlines based on false expectations, right? And thereby creating self-sabotage. That's how we can sabotage ourselves. And so that's one of the things, creating this sense of urgency. Another thing is feeling like you're running out of time. Why do we sometimes feel like we're running out of time? And sometimes when you've been working on something for a long time, you may tend to get impatient, right? And that's a natural feeling. You may tend to get a little frustrated. You may tend to get impatient because you're not getting the results that you wish to achieve. And that feeling of feeling like you're running out of time can create anxiety, right? And so you become anxious, and you may also feel like there's just not enough time in the day to get things done that you need to do, instead of trying to just prioritize and schedule and plan your day accordingly. And what we want the results now, right? And we want those results and the things that we are striving to achieve and what we're trying to do, we want them now. You need more time to develop whatever skill, or that time at that particular time, it just may not be the right time. Maybe there's something that you have to learn, to acquire, to obtain in order to get and achieve those goals that you're trying to accomplish, right? And so we end up feeling like we're running out of time, creating that anxiety feeling and feeling that there's just not enough time in the day, when all we really need to do is to really sit back and take time out and reevaluate things, right? Reevaluate things and ask yourself, are you doing the things that you are trying to achieve and acquire? Are you doing it? Where is it coming from? What's the why behind it? What are you trying to achieve? And are you doing it based out of like fear mode, because you have to quickly rush and do this to avoid this? So you have to really carefully plan things out. And what happens with that is also that you develop the feeling of overwhelm also comes on, right? You become overwhelmed, and that can occur, due to that constant stress, due to the constant environment, or the situation that you put yourself into, and becoming stressed all the time. And we know that stress is a silent killer, and we raise our cortisol levels, and we become, at that point, we're almost toxic in a sense. It's not like it's a fight or flight situation, right? And it's temporary. It's ongoing, right? It's an ongoing thing that you're experiencing over and over. And we know that that's not good. We know that chronic stress is bad. It's bad for your health. It's damaging to your cells, right? We know this already. We know that chronic stress is a silent killer, right? And it does things to the body. Always working under pressure, right? Never taking breaks. You feel like you can't take a break because there's no one else to be here to either answer the phones or to take care of the patients, right? And we see this in healthcare a lot. You don't want to take breaks because you feel like it's just the work is not going to get done. If you're not there to get the job done, because they're already short-staffed, right? We know this already. If you're in healthcare, you know this already, right? And so we tend to not take breaks, and we are doing ourselves a disservice when we're doing that, and we're not really serving others in a good way when we do that. Yes, and we don't put ourselves first in that situation. Sometimes we are in a position where we because we care for our patients, our residents, we want to do things more to help and be there for them. But who will be there for us if we don't tend to ourselves? And I'm using healthcare because that's the background that I'm in, is healthcare. So, but what I'm saying is we have to be able to reduce that level of anxiety, that level of stress that occurs, and reducing that overwhelm. Right? We have to be mindful of that. And that's why we'll always come back to mentioning being mindfulness, right? And so in the process of all of that, we tend to miss out on something very important. And that's being in the present moment, in the moment of now. And so we miss out on a present moment and not experiencing that joy and happiness, right? That we want to have. And sometimes we can, we may make time for ourselves and do that, right? But it may not be all the time. It may not be all the time. Sometimes, you may feel like, oh, well, you want to schedule and you want to try to make the time to do something, right? But you're so busy throughout the day, throughout the week, doing all these other things. And we tend to not make time for ourselves, for the people who need it most, and which is for ourselves, because there's no way that you can give from an empty cup, or give, from less than half of an empty cup. And your cup should always be full, right? Your cup should always be full. And that way, when it's full, you can share more with others. And that's how I look at it. We can't give from an empty cup and thinking that we can do our best to be there for other people, and then we can't be there for ourselves. And I know that this is how a lot of people operate all the time, because they're just compassionate, they care about others, and that's a wonderful quality to have, right? And that's one of the qualities that I myself have, or that I love to do for others, but I also am mindful of making sure that I put myself first, where my self-care is a priority, because what I do to my body matters, and what I think in my mind matters. So when I'm under stress, I know that it is impacting my body. I know that it is raising those cortisol levels. I know that it is also weakening my immune system. And I'm saying this is if it's occurring on a daily basis. I'm not saying, if you make experiences, you had a bad week at work or whatever, you had a bad weekend, it was things happen, you got a little anxious, or whatever happened at work or wherever, right, in your business or whatever, these things happen. But if you are experiencing this on a daily basis, you definitely want to take a look at that, right? You want to take a look at that and say, what am I doing here? What is really going on? And you will know, your body may or may not show signs, right? But you'll know, because a lot of times what we are experiencing, it's manifested in the body. You may feel stiff joints, you may feel, a foggy brain, right? Not being able to think clearly. Because you're so stressed at work, or maybe you have been putting in these long hours and you're not getting enough rest. It's going to manifest, and as your body is going to let you know that something is off, right? And so we need to be mindful of that and pay attention to that. And another thing is also reacting, right? Reacting to certain situations rather than being proactive. So because we're always in this survival mode, we may tend to react because we haven't really carefully put plans and strategies in place so that we can properly respond to life's ever-changing moment. We know that life is always ever-changing, right? It's always changing. It's always full of twists and turns. And so we just have to be able to adapt to when these things occur. So the next thing is, you may lack strategic planning. So if you are just reacting based on fear, and you want to experience something, and and you're in this place of urgency, you may not be carefully thinking it through, right? You may not be carefully thinking it through because you are doing it based on your emotions, which may not be rational, and doing it based out of fear and that anxiousness that you may be experiencing. So we need to make sure that once we are planning, we carefully plan things out based on rationalization and using our logic and our common sense. Now, you don't need a PhD or a master's degree for common sense. And so we need to carefully think out and strategize and look at what will be carefully looking at the best possible outcome that will be suitable to yourself and of course those around you. So we need to be careful and strategic in our planning, right? And so the next thing is what I've been talking about, what we can be doing when we act out of survival mode. We may be neglecting our health, and we may be possibly making ourselves sick, right? And so what happens with a lot of people, they tend, when they're anxious and they're always under stress, now they're experiencing high blood pressure. You may already not even be eating healthy in the first place, right? You may not even be eating healthy in the first place. So now you're here operating in this state of anxiousness and chronic stress, experiencing that overwhelm, anxiousness and frustration, fear, and all of these different feelings and emotions that you could be going through. And it's actually ruining your health, damaging your health, right? And so we have to really be mindful. We have to really pay close attention into the things that what we are doing, being more mindful in how we are reacting and handling situation, and getting out of that mindset of survival mode of just making it through the day, right? Be more intentional by making it through the day, but basically being present, right? And basically with a mindset of, today I will do the best that I can, right? And today I will be the best of what I can be and do my best. No one is asking you for perfection, right? And maybe for some things you have these very demanding jobs, right? Where they want certain things done yesterday. We have to start preparing ourselves for jobs that's very stressful and demand, we have to prepare ourselves in a different way. And that's why it's so important. I can't stress enough that take your breaks, take your vacations, even if you do a staycation, right? So now, some people don't want to travel, or traveling may be an issue right now where you can't travel, but people are still traveling. But if you're unable to travel at this time, and you're due to take a vacation, take that vacation. Take that vacation. Take time for you. Take time to do the things you've been wanting to work on. I can't stress how important that is, how important it is to do that and not neglect your health. And so we know that chronic stress, again, it weakens the immune system, and you can experience things such as the brain fog, anxiety, depression, and even more. You have people that's on bipolar meds or even alcohol, the pressure of life, where they are drinking more than usual. It's not just a glass of wine at the end of the week, maybe something like that. I personally don't drink, but for those who do drink, now maybe you could be experiencing where you are drinking more than usual. Pay attention to that, right? And recognize when you see that, okay, something is changing here. I'm doing more of this habit than I was doing before, and ask yourself, does this habit benefit me and serve me in any way, in a good way, right? And so we have to sometimes be our own coach and ask ourselves the question, how is this serving me? How is this benefiting me in a positive way and impacting my life in a positive way? So now, another thing is, which I mentioned, that the survival mode can be damaging to your health, but also can be damaging to your relationships, right? It can be damaging to your relationships when you are living in this survival mode, because your mind is only on how I can get through the next day, and so I can make it through for tomorrow, or how I can make it through today to get through today, and everything, because everything needs to be done now, and I need to get this done now, today it needs to be done. And it's just putting yourself in a really stressful place, in a really place that's, I would say, it's not serving you in a way that you would like it to. I would hope that you would like it to be in a beneficial way, that's positive and empowering and healthy. And so when we do that, because what happens when we do this, when we're operating from this place of survival mode, we're taking away more time from our families, right? We're taking away the time that we could be spending with our families. And also, when you're not available for your family, right, it can also cause a disconnect, right? And causing a disconnect. And with the disconnect comes the lack of communication, right? Which can be damaging, for your spouse, your children, the close ones to you, as well as your business relationships that you may have. That's important. And it impacts your decision making, right? And so it impacts your decision making, impacting your family, friends, and impacting yourself as well. It has a negative impact because you're always in this fight or flight mode every day, trying to get through life, rather than just taking a moment to be present. This is what I'm going to do today. And if something doesn't get done today, hopefully, God willing, I wake up tomorrow, I can get it done tomorrow. And so we have to go through this, just ride the wave, I don't know how a better way to put it, other than to just, sail with the wind, glide with the wind, ride the waves, be okay. You're the captain of the ship. It's up to you. You have to be mindful and everything that you do, and how it impacts your overall health, how it impacts your mental health, that mental clarity, your physical body. And we have to look at that. And I can't stress that enough, how important these things are. And so Diet is important. It's not the only thing, but it is of a major importance, right? Because we already know that what we eat and put in our bodies and put in our gut impacts our brain health, right? And so if you don't know that, you should know that by now, if you've been listening to my podcast, that gut health impacts your brain health. So what you put in your body matters, right? What you listen to on the outside matters and impact your inside your body as well, down to the cellular level, guys. So we need to be more mindful. And for me, this is how I was able to get through on my journey. This is how I was able to, when I had my own bout of dealing with depression, anxiety, and overwhelm, and being unhappy and unfulfilled, and, and the brain fog and all of these things. It's what's helped me to get through it was practicing the mindfulness, right? Waking up in the morning, expressing gratitude. And my prayer, of course, being mindful, journaling, doing exercises for the body, right? Walking in the park, stretching, doing all these different movements, to get that flow, to get that, increase in my heart rate, and working on strengthening my body. So this is the things that we need to do. And by all means, I'm no fitness pro, no fitness expert. I just do the things that I need to do that I know is going to help me. And especially for me, since I'm already over 50, I'm not ashamed to say that I'm over 50. Okay. And as we are getting older, more mature, we need to definitely, we can't put it by the wayside anymore, right? We can't say, oh, forget about it. I'll just wait till I turn this, or I'll just wait till I turn that. No, you need to do it now. You need to do it now. Let's be mindful in what we are doing, what we are eating, putting in our bodies, what we are watching on the television, right? Or social media. We need to be mindful and pay attention to that. Okay, so I think that is about all I had for you today on this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't followed me yet, or liked or subscribed to my channel, please do so on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Please share. Also on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. It's a whole list of them. I don't know. There's a whole list of them. But anyway, I appreciate you. If you haven't heard me say this before, I appreciate you. If you're someone who is really just struggling to or find it to be challenging to get through your goals for this year, whatever it is that you're planning for this year, I'm calling it the year of healing, because so many people need to heal on so many levels. And although I may talk about, mind and body, there is, and I've mentioned it before, there's a spiritual warfare taking place, and this may or may not resonate with some of you, but those who it does resonate with, you understand what I am talking about. We need to wake up. We need to unite. That's why it's so important to get that mind and that body right, because when you are in alignment with all those things, the mind, the body, the spirit, your emotional wellness, you will see things from a clearer, better perspective, and have a better understanding of self. And that's what I want for each and every one of you who listen to my podcast, or wherever you may listen to me, or whatever platform. I thank you so much. If you are interested in healing and improving, getting rid of your chronic pain, inflammation, anxiety, a better way to handle your anxiety and depression, reach out to me. You can send me a message. I'm on Instagram, Health Coach for Women. That is my handle on Instagram. You can also send me a message here. You can reply here. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, to be honest, guys. I don't use Facebook that much. I know that I should. But you can send me a message at any time, or you could also just visit my website, schedule a call. The link will be provided for you, healthcoachforwomen.com. Check out the website. There's some interesting articles that you may enjoy. And take the inflammation quiz, guys. There's an inflammation quiz there. Take the inflammation quiz, and you can get your test to see if you have any chronic inflammation. It's a simple test. Okay, so that is all for now. I think I've used up my time. I will speak to you all next week. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening to Health Coach for Women with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.